I mean, here in my county, we don't have a constitutional sheriff. I yield.
Yeah. We might want to talk about what is necessary to replace him. I think we've had a conversation before about that, Gary, that if we can get 10 people to in your county to follow your lead, we could probably remove that sheriff from office, I believe. Take it away from him and put somebody else more competent, like maybe you, in there.
If I may, I'd like to ask Gary a question. Gary, how would you define a constitutional sheriff?
Somebody that doesn't put the state statutes in front of the Constitution. She says, well, like she says, I enforce codes and statutes, not constitutional law. And then if you go by the Clearfield Doctrine, she receives funding from the United States Corporation, which isn't in gold and silver, which makes her a private corporation, and she is on the Dun and Bradstreet numbers.
That is not a lawful, constitutionally authorized sheriff. And
she has a civil flag, but she won't fly it. She refuses to recognize it now.
She has abdicated her office and authority.
Yeah.
That office is vacant. Just nobody's stepping up to claim that fact.
Well, we got one guy, he just wants to, in fact, the owner of the radio station, ex-police, who's now been converted, is willing to take that position, but he just wants to make sure he got all the I's dotted before he steps up.
If I may, I'd like to ask, how would he do that? How would he take that vacant office and put himself in that position? How could that be done?
I think that's Charles' specialty.
I'd love to hear anybody. Charles?
Thank you both for passing the ball over to me here. This is my specialty. I wake up in the middle of the night with posse comitatus guys dancing through my mind. A couple of different things. If there might happen to be statutorily or constitutionally recognized office of the county judge in Nevada, that would be an office that could be used also, because actually the office of county judge, as there does exist in Texas and Oregon, the office of county judge. And if that office is occupied, that would give you an alternative, and you could ask the county judge. You could put paperwork, you could put a complaint in front of the county judge to invoke his jurisdiction. And at that point, complain against the sheriff and bring basically quo warranto action would obligate the county judge to adjudicate with the jury whether or not your complaint against the sheriff is sufficient to oust that sheriff from his office and to put somebody else into the office, possibly yourself, to more responsibly preserve the peace, as is obligatory on all sheriffs under their common law jurisdiction. But not without any additional complications from the office of county judge. Basically, from the grassroots bottom up, the larger strategy is to decentralize the power in the manner that's clearly implied from both the biblical Torah law and the Anglo-American common law, in that the county is just an assembly of the precincts, like the precincts are assemblies of townships, and townships are assemblies of households of the qualified electors. And at the higher level, the states are assemblies of the counties, and the federal government is assembly of the states. So the operative phrase there is political subdivisions and constituencies. The constituency of the county is the officers that are the heads of the precincts. They come together to form the county court, the shire court. The word county is from French administrative municipal law, and it's actually less than optimal, the word county. The Anglo-Saxon real common law term there is shire. And the word reeve means the commanding officer. There's town reeves, there's 100 court precinct level reeves, 100 reeves, and there's shire reeves. That just means like captain is worded in the Exodus 18 passages. It talks about captains of tens and fifties and hundreds and thousands. Those would be reeves of tens and fifties and hundreds and thousands. And so you have no county unless you've got an assembly of the precincts. And so if you get 10 people willing to assume the vacant public offices of the 10 precincts into which each county is constitutionally required under common law mandate to be politically subdivided, then you've got the shire court, you've got the county court there, and they decide from their own constituents, from their own assembly of precinct captains, of precinct reeves, who will be the shire reeves. Okay, so Gary, that would be the way I would be suggesting to try to think about taking the problem away from that corrupted female sheriff, is to try to get 10 people. Your county there, I think, is pretty high population. Maybe not.
100,000.
100,000. That's a pretty good sized county. Yeah, if you could find 10 people, you would be in a rock solid position to take control of the machinery of the government of the county under its true constitutionally lawful common law jurisdiction.
Yeah, we'd have to take everything, because the justice of the peace is a retired, well, not retired, but he left the sheriff's department and became a justice of the peace. So he's just as crooked as the sheriff.
Mm-hmm. That office of justice of the peace, that's the office of the leader of the precincts, and he shouldn't have any jurisdiction larger than just his own precincts. Over here in Texas, they got justice of the peace that they referred to county-wide justice of the peace, and they got constables that are county-wide constables. That is pure municipal Roman Empire fiat, smoke and mirrors, that denies the inherent common law jurisdiction nature of constables and justice of the peace judicial officers. So they got no shame the way they're rearranging things here, but here in Texas and in Oregon and at numerous places, I've got eyeball to eyeball with these people. Jim Bleakley here has been with me in a number of occasions where we've gone eyeball to eyeball, and those guys, when we go eyeball to eyeball against the nasty de factos like that, they're usually backing up, and it's sword play. And you can frequently tell who's the better swordsman, who is on the offensive, and who is just using their sword to avoid getting cut from ribbons. And it's the de facto judges and attorneys and judicial officers that are backing off and using their sword in a purely defensive manner, because when we go up against them and we got the vocabulary, we can cut like a sword. To build on that just briefly a bit further, the Bible in Book of Revelation talks about Jesus, how his words his tongue cuts like a two-edged sword, the sword that comes out of his mouth and cuts like a two-edged sword. That's what we're doing. We're cutting with our words, because when we take their color of legitimacy away from them, then we are in position to grab the brass ring of power. And probably the office of sheriff is probably the easiest office. Well, it's not easy, but among all of the offices to try to grab that would have any significant authority, that would probably be optimal strategy for producing breakthroughs for all of Americans if in any county, anywhere, we could get that office of sheriff converted from municipal Roman Empire jurisdiction to pure organic grassroots accountable common law jurisdiction. I yield.